decided something. What have you decided? I have decided
that
When we're born, we have a mommy and daddy, right? And then when we grow up and get married, we have children of our own. And then our children grow up and get married and have children. And so on and so on. So it's very important and very fun also to have sex.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Hey guys, it's Miranda. I'm so happy that you're back to listen to season 2, and thank you so much for listening and for telling your friends about it, because if you hadn't, season 2 wouldn't be here. You guys kept downloading, you kept listening, and it made me want to make more episodes for you guys. Plus, there's so much more to learn, which I have learned as I've been filming season 2. It's been a really, really good time. I'm really excited about our first episode. I have Rubber Emily to talk to us. She is a rubber fetishist. We talk about all things latex. We talk about some heavy rubber stuff, some breath play, and lots of other really cool things that you're going to have to listen to the podcast for. She has a Twitter. It's twitter.com/rubber_Emily. And the way I found her was through Instagram, which is couple_of_kinksters, couple of kinksters. And she also has a Fet Life where she is Rubber Emily. So you can find her a bunch of places, and those places will also take you to her OnlyFans page if you guys are interested in that. Got to take a really quick second to tell you guys about our new partnership I'm stoked about, Tushy. HelloTushy.com/ISP for 10% off. I got a bidet with them, and it's a very exciting experience, and my butthole has never been cleaner. So when you wipe your butt with dry toilet paper, does it remove all the shit? No, I don't think so. That's why you get little poop spots on your underwears. I think they're called skid marks, and they're not cool. If you were to get poop on any other part of your body, would you just wipe it off with dry paper? No, you would use a wet cloth to get it off to make sure you are clean. And that's exactly what Tushy is. It's a sleek bidet attachment. It clips right onto your existing toilet and sprays your butt completely clean with fresh water. And when I say fresh water, it's not toilet water. Tushy connects to the water supply behind your toilet to spray your dirty parts with clean, fresh water. It's the same water that you brush your teeth with. They're now offering free shipping, and with HelloTushy.com/ISP, you get 10% off your products. So that's exciting. Their classic bidet is only $79 with this. I know a lot of you like to do dirty things with your buttholes, so how about you clean your butthole and get yourself a Tushy? HelloTushy.com/ISP. And while you're doing your bathroom poopies, why don't you check out the book While You Were Pooping? It's an inappropriate children's book for adults. All the pictures are drawn with coloring pencils, so it looks like a 12-year-old drew it, but everyone's naked, and it's very inappropriate. So while you're pooping, your ex got laid, or while you're pooping, a dolphin got caught in a net. It goes all over the place. It's a great book, super fun. You can find it on Amazon. You can even look up the pictures if you went on Google, whileyou'repoopingbook.com. Or you can find it on Amazon, While You're Pooping by the Anonymous Pooper. And with no further ado, let's welcome our rubber queen. Please open your ears, your hearts, and your holes and give a nice warm welcome to Rubber Emily.
Hello.
Hi, is this Rubber Emily?
It certainly is.
Hey, this is Miranda. I'm so glad to get in touch with you from Interesting Sex Podcast.
Yeah, I'm really, really delighted to talk to you. I've been looking forward to this.
Thank you. Me too. You're also my first guest with an accent.
Yeah, hopefully it's an understandable accent. I'm actually from what's normally the Geordie region in the UK, and if I actually had a Geordie accent, I don't think that I would be very good for the podcast.
What's Geordie? What's a Geordie region?
It's the northeast of England, specifically Newcastle, and it almost has its own language. It's a really friendly but difficult accent to understand.
Awesome. Well, I think it's sexy, so I think everyone will understand it just fine. And if not, they'll just listen to it twice.
They'll have to.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to talk to you. You are Rubber Emily because you wear rubber?
Yes, it's a very imaginative name.
Yeah, but is rubber is rubber and latex the same thing?
Yeah, I use them interchangeably.
And let's start by telling me about who you are as a person, how you identify as a person on the planet Earth, and how you identify sexually.
Yeah. So I guess that in the context of the conversation, it's fairly easy to start with the fact that I identify as female. I'm biologically female, and I also identify as bisexual. I One of the funny things about being involved in the fetish community or any sort of uh, community of sexual interests is that people want to know whether you're a dominant figure or a submissive figure, and I really just identify as a kinkster, I suppose. I'm just a quirky person.
Okay. And I want people to be able to look up your super awesome pictures if they want while they're listening to the podcast. Can you give us your Instagram or your Twitter? How can people look you up?
Yeah, so my my Instagram account I share with my partner, and that's couple of kinksters. That's couple underscore of kinksters. And my Twitter is rubber underscore Emily. And I've got a FetLife account that's just rubber Emily.
You are currently have a partner that you have this Instagram with. Is it with a male or a female currently?
A male partner. He's my husband. We used to post quite equally on this Instagram account, but I've sort of taken it over.
And how long have you been married?
Good question. 4 year, yeah, 4 years now.
Well,
Yeah,
congratulations.
thank you.
And you've made it through quarantine and you're still
Yes,
together.
yes. I think that there has been a rise in domestic incidents, but I say that couples who play together stay together. So I think we're all right.
Awesome. Let's start with how you started in the kink community and how it transformed into like the latex community.
Yeah. A lot of people have a specific story. They've watched a cartoon or they've watched a film when they were younger, or they've experienced some clothing or something that has stuck with them. And I don't know what it was for me, but I definitely have always had an interest in the unusual, and it definitely started to translate to fetish and kink quite early on. I can't put my finger on it. And I started going to some local munches and fetish parties. And yeah, it just kind of meandered along in the background of my life for quite a while. Yeah, something I had a major bereavement, which is something I can get into in a little bit. I took a break from any fetish parties in the scene for quite a while, and on a whim later decided to go back, and I met my husband's my knight in shining latex, which I'd never really experienced latex before. And he basically, because I'd had such a major thing happen to me, I was very candid with him straight away, and meeting in a fetish party. And I was very upfront with him, and it just started this dialogue. And he wasn't afraid to introduce me to this material, and it just sort of grew from there. And I turned into a latex fetishist. So I already had a sort of kinky attitude anyway, but it definitely developed after that particular moment.
Okay. Do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 30.
Okay. I'm curious specifically because I feel like people that are, in their 30s, like I'm just more learning now, maybe because I wasn't really involved in the community, but about munches and ways to find people in the kink world, and how to get involved. Like munches are where you like go have like lunch or stuff with other people and get to talk to them about what it's like and meet other people in the community. But like, how old were you when you started to be able to like go from an interest in the like wild of like your kinky side to actually making that a reality?
Do you know it? I think it's been a little bit unconventional for me, because I definitely had an awareness of this stuff when I was 15, 16, 17. And I can't remember exactly when I started to attend munches, but I was such an avid internet browser. I'm pretty sure I found some stuff before I should have done. arguably. And yeah, I think I started attending munches when I was, at the very least, in my early 20s. It might have even been when I was 18 or 19.
Okay.
Um,
What's it like over there in in the UK? Like, is it pretty open? Like, are there more like open kind of clubs and communities? What's it like?
yeah, there are two different attitudes that I think there are. So I talked to quite a few international people, and um, they say that they come over here and they're expecting a crazy fetish party, and we're very British about it, all standing around in rubber drinking cups of tea kind of thing. And this is Scandinavians have crazy parties. We've been to a few, one in Denmark, and anything goes there, which, now that I've experienced that, that's what I want. And I do think in the UK we can be a little bit reserved. But on the other hand, in the UK, it's acceptable to be a bit odd, I think. Especially, you can go out in London in latex and no one will really bat an eyelid. But also, we do have a lot of latex designers in the UK. The UK is really the one of the birthplaces of really alternative fashion, so I think that helps a bit. But we are all just sort of inclined to have a bit of a pub chat. That's our version of a fetish party, I suppose.
So, when you said you were involved in the kink community before, and then you took a break, which we'll get into, and then you came into the latex when you later met your now husband,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of kink were you into to start?
I was into just general BDSM stuff, so anything that involves floggers and restraints and your typical dom sub idea. I wouldn't say it was anything specific. It was just that sort of general rough play.
And did you find yourself more on the dominant or submissive side, or you kind of were just anything goes back in your days?
I think I started off more on the submissive side, but now I'm definitely right in the middle. I enjoy both sides completely equally.
Cool. And then um, let's talk about the time in between when you took the break. Why did you decide to take such a break from the community that you really loved?
So, uh, it's basically a really bad and pretty damaging experience. I I have always had quite an open, in fact, probably an unusually open relationship with my parents, and actually, I knew a lot about what my dad was doing, some quite interesting stuff. So I knew that my parents were in an open relationship, and I knew that my dad had sort of breached the terms of this open relationship and has an affair at some point, and everyone had forgiven each other. And then I found out that he was bisexual and he was actually working as an escort. I was privy to quite a lot of information
How old
for
were you when you knew all this stuff?
probably 17, 18, and 19. So
Okay.
yeah, this is another facet of me finding out about things quite early on, I suppose.
Okay.
Um, but then uh, one thing that I didn't know that he was into, unfortunately, he actually, I was 21 and he died of autoerotic asphyxiation, um, uh, which is something that I don't have any problem talking about. I do find that I have to explain what it is sometimes. And basically, he hanged himself for sexual pleasure. And unfortunately, although he was a very clever man and he had a system that was supposed to, he was supposed to fall out of this noose that he'd made for himself if something went wrong. It didn't work, and unfortunately, he died. And I found his body,
Oh
so
goodness.
that's had a big impact on me, obviously. And I went through a lot of uh, doubt about what I was interested in. I had actually started to become a little bit interested in breath play myself at that time, and that made me really, take a few steps back. I am not actually that troubled specifically by how he died now, just the fact that I lost him. Actually, I think it's kind of it's better than some other ways you could go. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. So he was alone in your house
Yes,
and you
yes.
found him. I'm so sorry to hear that.
So yeah, I mean, actually, it was while my mum and I were, and my ex now ex-boyfriend, we were all in the house as well, and he'd just sort of taken a private moment in the bathroom. So as you can imagine now, I'm very much all about safe play. And if you're going to do this kind of thing, you need someone watching over you.
Right. I guess he thought he was being safe, but since he was alone, there was really no help.
Yeah. I mean, he was a really very mathematical, great at building stuff, quite an engineer's brain. And I could see that he'd made some sort of contraption or system, and it was supposed to, if he fell unconscious, he was supposed to fall out of this system, but it didn't work. And you can it doesn't matter how clever you are, if you don't have someone else's eyes on you, I think it's not safe enough.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. I can imagine like just losing, I've lost my father and it's scary enough, but having to be the child that finds it is probably just terrifying and something you never lose. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, that's all right. I actually like talking about it. I've never been ashamed of it, and I do think it's almost my duty to talk about it, because um, there are people in this, in especially in the latex community, where there's another type of breath play which I can talk about if you like. There are people who think it won't happen to them, and I just feel like if I tell my story, maybe it'll help someone. I don't know.
Right. Was it hard for you when you found out that your father was an escort? Like, I know knowing that they're open or that, he's kind of kinky is one thing, but that he's being like an escort, was that really hard to understand?
Um, I I don't remember being that bothered by it. I was more bothered when I knew that he had an affair that was sort of outside of the bounds of whatever agreement he had with my mum. But I was more bothered because during that time he had actually considered moving away to America to be with this other woman, and that really upset me. But the fact that he was doing the more sort of open and agreed stuff didn't really bother me at all, to be honest.
Okay.
So yeah, it was more just the lack of communication about that one particular incident, which we did get past. It was fine after that, and I had no problems with the woman either. In fact, I talked to her on Facebook quite a bit after that. I'm quite an easygoing person.
Are you still close with your mother?
Yes, very, very much so. Yeah,
And do you
she's
share your
definitely.
kink side with her? And is she still in that community as well?
No, she is rather more conventional. I think that she's very open-minded, and she doesn't bat an eyelid at anything, but she doesn't necessarily want to participate, I would say.
Okay. Do you think that she was kind of in that relationship for your father if she's not really super into it, you think? Is
I
that something?
think that what she said to me was that she wishes that he had told her more, because she would have been happy to participate for him, but he was a bit cagey about it, and that's one of the reasons why I really believe in communication and frankness and just putting everything on the table. Because it wasn't necessarily her thing, but she was happy to accommodate, and I just think it's really sad that that didn't happen to the level that she could have, that she wanted to offer.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot for a parent to share with a child.
Yeah, some people have said that's a bit unconventional, but it's just the way I grew up, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not bad. I wish more people were a little bit more open. It's the last thing I would talk to my mom about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's normal too. I just, I don't know. I often wonder if I had a child, like what I would introduce. I don't know how to bring up some of these topics, but yeah, my parents did it somehow.
Yeah. Um, so you took quite a break. I can understand and see why after your father passed. And then
Yeah,
what made you
actually,
go ahead?
sorry. Yeah, just I don't normally tell people these two stories back to back because it sounds like I'm making it up. I'm
Okay.
not. But yeah, my it was, see, the time and the order of things, that's something I really struggle to remember exactly what time things happened. But I think it was about a year after my dad died. My ex then killed himself after I broke up with him. So yeah, it was, there was there was a sort of weird period where I was still with this guy, and um, the relationship was shaken up because my dad had died. And then I broke up with him, and then he killed himself. And then 2 weeks later, I went to this fetish club because I had decided that I had nothing to lose, and I met my husband. So yeah, it's, I don't really know what happened in between those times, or
Wow.
why I decided to go back, but I did.
Yeah, and you were about 21, you said, when all this happened?
I was 21 when my dad died, and I think I was probably, I think, was I 21? Yeah, I was 21 when my dad died, and I think I must have been 23 when I met my husband. Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on making it through and being a stronger person.
Honestly, any advice that I could give is get back on the horse when something happens. It, I'm so happy that I went back to finish my university course. I was still at uni. I did my final year, and I'm really happy that I just took that leap and just decided to go and do something crazy. And the good that came from it was so worth it.
Yeah. Okay, so you decided, like, fuck it. People are dying. I'm not doing that great. I need to get out there again.
Yeah,
So you just
basically.
decided, like, hey, I'm just going to go out and do what I used to love,
Yeah.
that I stopped doing. And then everything after you made that decision to move forward is now your life.
Yes, basically. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very cool. So let's get into your now life. So you met your husband at this fetish party where he was in latex or rubber, and
Yeah.
you talked to him about, like, right away about your
Yeah.
father dying and about
Yeah.
your worries about being reintroduced into the community.
Uh, yeah. I mean, I told him, I said, I've got to be frank with you. And I said, and there were other things. I thought that during that particular period of time, I also thought I was going to move to China, which didn't happen. And I just said to him, look, my life's very strange right now. I know that I'm not completely stable. I may move to China, but would you like to see where this goes? And he did.
Yeah. Well, he must have been really handsome in his rubber.
Yeah, and you know what he was? He was very, very, very reassuring. And he said that he likes Nick Cave, and I thought, my God, nobody else likes this particular singer. This person must have something in common with me. But yeah, he was just really lovely and
Yeah.
relatable, and we just got talking. It was really great, and it feels strange that that happened because I decided to just let it all hang out one evening.
Yeah. And then what was your first experience, like, when you first put on latex? What was that like? How long did that take you?
um so I can't I can't remember whether I tried anything on before this, whether my husband had anything that I could try on. I really can't remember, but he had some friends, and yeah, we went round this friend's house, and um, yeah, she let me try on this cat suit, one of these friends of his, and it was a sleeveless cat suit with full length legs but short sleeves. That was it. And she let me try it on, and I bought it. So I think a lot of people start off with a pair of pants or something like that, but I started off with a cat suit, and I still have it. I still have that. I still have my first latex garment.
Is it hard to
Uh,
get on?
uh, yeah. So you have to use lube.
Oh,
uh,
every time you get dressed in latex, you have to put lube on you, like your whole body, or what?
Pretty much. It depends. If it's tight, a skin tight cat suit, then definitely. Um, you can get loose cuts of latex as well. That can be quite nice. You can also chlorinate latex, which um, basically it's hydrochloric acid and bleach. My husband has done it before, and it does produce chlorine gas. So I don't recommend trying it unless you know what you're doing. But basically, what it does is it coats the surface of the latex in chlorinated atoms, and it makes it smoother, because latex, although it looks shiny, it's actually it's got a sort of microscopically rough texture, so it sticks to you while you're putting it on, and that's why it's difficult to get on.
Yeah. Now you like just love latex and you like to be covered completely into it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was a little bit scared at first of putting on hoods, because I associated that with memories about my dad, and even though that wasn't, it was, as I said, it was a noose with my dad, but I thought anything that goes over my face or restricts my breathing, I became scared of it for a while, and I felt
Right.
claustrophobic, but I got over it. Um, I've actually always been interested in gas masks. I would say I was probably interested in them right at the start of my interest in kink, and I really love those as well. So that's part of the rubber total enclosure thing for me.
Right. So like you have some really cool pictures on your Instagram of just like full head things with some cool hair coming out of it. And it's like
Yeah,
different colors. It's like skin colored and black. It's really cool
yeah,
looking. It does, do you feel like you can breathe in there and everything and you feel comfortable once you're in there? Can you eat in there?
yes, yes, absolutely. I would say the the well, it depends. The ones you're referring to that have the sort of hair attachments and things like that, they have eye holes and mouth holes and nose holes that you can breathe through just fine. Eating a sandwich is a little bit difficult, admittedly, because your face is a little bit compressed. Um, but
But a
some of the other
smoothie,
things,
maybe a smoothie.
yes, yeah. You might have noticed the ball hood on that page, on my page as well. The big inflated beach ball looking uh, thing contraption.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a lot of people ask me about that, and it's a hood. It goes over your head. You put these breathing tubes in your mouth, and there are two layers of latex. There's a layer that touches the face, and then there's the layer on the outside that becomes this ball shape when it gets blown up. And you breathe through these tubes, and yeah, you can imagine this sort of claustrophobic feeling when you first try something like that. And
Yeah.
now I'm addicted to it.
Do you just like hang out at home and
Yeah,
wear it sometimes?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And actually, it can be really strange if I'm somewhere familiar. I mean, you're blind in this hood, you can't see, but if I'm somewhere familiar, I start to see shadowy objects that represent things in that area, or I can see my own hands or something like that. It's very strange.
So you're in this thing that you can't see at all.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
So have
and
you worn it to parties and stuff and got like led around or is
yes,
this
I have. Actually, this was a big trust thing. This was at Rubber Revolution in London, and I had the ball hood, and yeah, I was led around by my husband a little bit, and then he sat me down, and I'd lost the plot by this point. And then there were all of these hands touching me, and it was definitely more than two hands. And I knew that I just had to trust my husband to vet whoever was getting involved with that. But yeah, you just end up sort of in your own world. It's I think the best way to describe it is escapism, because it doesn't feel quite real.
wow, so they were like touching you sexually and everything and you just had no idea what was going on and just had to let yourself release and
Yeah,
escape?
yeah, yeah, and that's a lot of what this because it's sensory deprivation. That's what it's all about for me. Yeah.
Cool. Is it kind of like when you're I don't know, like kind of when you're meditating and you try to become a little bit separate from your person? Um,
Yes, that's exactly what it is, but you kind of can't help it. Um, Another particular device that I'm really fond of is the vac bed, which, I was talking about the ball hood being inflated. Well, the vac bed is the opposite, and it deflates. And
can you talk about a vac bed first before you go into this?
yes, so it's basically two layers of latex, and there's a sort of plastic frame, so it creates a rectangular shape, and you climb in between the two layers at one end, and it gets rolled up and sealed up, and there's a breathing hole. And Uh, the pipes have vents in them, and you basically plug a vacuum cleaner to the pipes, and it sucks all of the air out. So you're sort of vacuum sealed, like like some food in the supermarket, I guess.
Yeah, or you're like packing up your comforters and you need them
Yeah.
to take up less space.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Um, so that's, yeah, you can't move. And you feel like you're floating, which is quite cool. That's not the sensation that I expected the first time I tried that, but it is this feeling of weightlessness. Um, so yeah, that's definitely another element of sensory deprivation. It does force you into that almost meditation feeling of being separate from yourself.
Kind of like those float tanks, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, very much like that, I think.
Um, but you feel totally enclosed instead of floating.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and then you can be tormented by your partner as well, obviously. So it's not
Oh,
that
yeah.
relaxing.
So are you standing up or are you like kind of like floating? Do these things hold you up?
I have seen standing ones before. I've not tried one, but you're basically lying on the ground with the one that I've got.
Okay. Wow. And so what kind of stuff does your partner torment you with when you're in this what's it called? Latex vac?
Yeah, this back bed.
Vac bed.
Yeah, so I think that the toy of choice is a Doxy wand, which is, one of these pneumatic drills type vibrators that plugs into the wall.
Okay, is that like the magic wand that people talk
Yes,
about? Okay.
yeah, that's the one. Fully recommended.
Okay. I mean, I've heard about these a lot at this point and have never.
You've got to
Um,
try it. Yeah, actually, they're a little bit too intense. But that's part of the fun if you're sort of in that situation and you're trapped.
right. Um, so does he get your whole body with that, or does he
It
just kind
starts
of
with the
get?
whole body, and then it
Yeah,
gets localized.
yeah. And then is there some sort of like, yeah, what's called like orgasm play where you are forced orgasms
Yes,
when you like think you're gonna die and you're so tired, but you are
yes, absolutely.
tortured
Yeah,
with orgasms.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Do you feel tortured sometimes with orgasms, or is it always good?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's well, I think it starts off great, and then you feel tortured, and then you kind of you can come back to a level where you're like, okay, I can handle this. I don't want this to stop. Actually, this is pretty great, and then it's always very disappointing when you have to get out of the back bed.
Yeah. How many times do you think you've orgasmed in a session?
Oh my God. So when before I met my husband, I actually thought I was only capable of one orgasm at a time,
Oh,
and I learned that that was not the case. But I still thought, oh, I'm knackered after three. But yeah, I think that when we got this doxy and when we combined it with the vac bed, it's definitely, I don't know, 10, 20, 30. I don't know. It's a lot.
how long are you in the vac bed?
Um, Time does tend to lose a bit of meaning. I think it's very, very easy for an hour to pass without you noticing. Um, I know sometimes we've set it up for a session, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then suddenly it'll be 5 or 6 o'clock, and we'll be like, "What the hell? What just happened?"
Yeah. You're like, can we order pizza now? And then can you
Yes,
put me back?
yeah. I can't be bothered to cook.
Yeah. Oh no, God no. Probably can't be bothered to walk.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's quite. You're talking about the time spent, and sometimes I think that a particular kit that you put on is unbearable for more than a few minutes. So, if it's restricting your breathing or there's corset involved or something like that, corsets are fine, but I'll get on to rebreathing bags in a moment. Sometimes it's not very long that it's possible to last wearing this stuff, and then sometimes you're just in the zone, and especially if you go out to an event, you can be in it for 8 or 9 hours easily. I always really am looking forward to taking all of the stuff off at the end of an event, though. Like, as much as I love it, by that
Yeah.
point, I just want to get into pajamas.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, the worst bit about taking off latex is the sweat, and usually you have to take it off in the shower. if you've been wearing it a long time, because it's just gross, you know.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Is it like scuba gear? Taking it off is actually pretty hard.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it can be. It depends. I mean, I haven't actually tried. You can get some cat suits that don't have a zip. They're neck entry. So Fantastic Rubber do them. And yeah, from what I understand, getting out of those can be really challenging by yourself. And I have heard stories about people thinking they were stuck in their cat suit.
I've learned with a lot of kinks that they're not always associated with like sex. Like a lot of kinks I find, like even if their partner dresses up as a doll for them, they'll just like be admiring them, or sometimes it's just experiential. What is it like with leather? Is it more of a sexual kink, or do sometimes people just want to wear it because they enjoy the sensation on their body?
I think that just enjoying the sensation is definitely part of it. Yeah, I was talking to someone on camera last night because just to clarify, I've got an OnlyFans page which I can get into. But yeah, I just put on some latex last night, you know, a dress and a bolero, and I was just sitting wearing it for a few hours and nothing really happened. I just wore it and I was kind of just enjoying it. So yeah, there is definitely a bit of that, and it also it's very transformative and it makes you feel really confident, I think.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
have worn
anytime
it.
you have to put something on that like shows off every single curve of your body, you have to kind of own who you are and
Yeah,
walk with your head up.
absolutely. But also, you know, it doesn't matter what your shape is. I think anyone can look imposing or dramatic or striking in latex, which is really cool. It just has that eye-catching, powerful feeling to it. I once had a meeting that I had to go to that I was really nervous about, and I put on a latex corset underneath my business suit, and it made me
Oh,
feel very, very confident.
that's sexy.
So yeah, I think that dressing for other emotions than arousal is definitely part of it, but
Yeah.
arousal is also a big part of it.
Yeah, sometimes people like have a pair of power shoes. And
Yeah,
have a
absolutely. Yeah,
it's like a superhero suit underneath your job outfit, and then you
yeah,
pull off your job outfit and you're like, I'm superhero. I'm Rubber
absolutely.
Emily.
That, do you know, it's funny you should say that. It does have, I think it does have that kind of comic book look to it as well. You know, there's Catwoman, latex catsuit, shiny look. I think that it does make you feel a little bit like a superhero. Yeah.
Yeah. Sharon Stone was Catwoman, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I wonder if she has a latex thing now.
Do you know what? A lot of celebrities do. You know, you see Katy Perry in latex. You see Kim Kardashian in her usual Kim beige latex.
Right.
Um,
But I wonder if they like the sex and the touch from the inside.
I wonder. I mean, I do remember a video of Kim putting on a latex dress. It went around just probably a couple of months ago now, and all of the people in the latex community were saying, well, why isn't she using lube? Why is she making this look so difficult? So I don't know whether she was missing something or whether her stylist had told her that was what she had to wear that day. I would say the latex community gets a little bit excited when we see latex in popular culture, but we're also a bit sort of, you know, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. Does it
Exactly.
feel different? Like say like someone's touching your boobies and you're wearing latex. Like, is there a different like sensation of a turn on, or is it like what's the difference of being touched?
Actually, that's a really great question. And yeah, I'm glad you've asked that because it feels totally different. And uh, I think probably the most surprising thing to note is, you know, people complain about if they're using a condom, which is latex, they say it's reduced sensitivity. But actually, if you have on a latex catsuit or a latex top, if someone touches your skin, you know, even on your back or your arms, the feeling is really amplified. At least it is to me, and my husband says the same. Yeah, it feels much more intense. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it's because it's restricting you a little bit, and there's already some pressure on the nerves and the skin surface. But yeah, it feels amazing actually.
Does your husband get in the vac bed as well?
He does, yes. He's just as obsessed with all of this as I am.
Okay. And what do you still use this wand thing on him as well?
Yes, yeah, it's definitely a multi-person enjoyable toy.
Yeah. And where does all his cum go when he's in there?
Oh my God. So the vac bed does need washing after this. Which, oh my, yeah, there's one thing about latex, washing it. Oh my God. Like this vac bed is, a meter, like a couple of square meters worth of latex, and washing that, because you've got to wash it in the bath basically. And I use fairy liquid. Like dishwashing liquid,
Okay.
and yeah, it's a real pain in the arse to wash it. That was a very British phrase, wasn't it? Pain in the
Yeah.
arse. And then you've got to
And
let it air dry, and then you've got to turn it inside out because all the water will still be on the inside. So yeah, the especially when you've had your fun, the thought of having to clean everything up, that's pretty grim.
yeah, I think the person that was on the inside should not have to do the cleanup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So I want to get into, you talked about um, breath play and
Yes.
breath bags. Can we
Yeah.
get a little bit into that?
Sure. So this is, part of I mentioned about gas masks before, and there's actually a whole world of kit that people have made that is compatible with the filter nozzle on gas masks, basically. So the nozzle on a gas mask is where the cylindrical filter would ordinarily go if it were being used for its military purpose, let's say. But yeah, a lot of enterprising fetishists have created various tubes and bags that you can attach. And so a rebreather bag is a latex bag that inflates and deflates with your breathing. It makes breathing a little bit difficult. You can have it sort of fully sealed, so you have a quantity of air that's available to you, but it'll start running out and you start to get that kind of um, a little bit of a high because you're running out of oxygen. Or you can have it slightly open and you will still be able to have some air intake, but it's a little bit more difficult, and that heightens sexual feeling basically.
Was that
I don't know
terrifying
if
when you first tried it?
Yeah, especially, and actually one of the things, like even now, even though I've been doing this for quite a long time and enjoying it, I still get an image of my dad in my head every time, and I just accept that that's part of how my brain is now. It's like it's a memory or damage that won't go, but it doesn't necessarily limit my enjoyment. I just know to be careful.
But also,
Um,
maybe your dad keeps showing up because, like, he wants to do the breath play too. So you're kind of doing it for him.
Do you know what? I often wonder what he would think, because obviously I was his little girl, but he also
Yeah.
knew that I was sexually active when he was alive, and I
And
just wonder what
if
he'd
he had
think of
this
all of
gas
this.
mask thing, then he
Yeah,
might have really enjoyed it.
he probably would. Yeah, it's a shame that it's a shame that he couldn't have found that community. Definitely. That's
Once
the
the air, like you've had it before, where the latex balloon thingy is all closed up, so you only
Yeah,
get a specific amount of air.
yeah.
Like I've seen, um, I think you've seen in movies where people in a small space, and once they run out of air, like they're dead. There's only so long they can survive.
Yeah,
What is
I mean,
how do you know
usually,
where that place is? Like, I guess your eyes start closing and then your partner's like, oh, open the hole.
yeah, I mean, I would say that if my husband and I are playing, we don't let it get too far along. We just have a kind of an automatic sense of how long's a good time, or sometimes I would say it is difficult because you don't actually notice that you're starting to get a little bit dizzy. um, I think it's easy to get quite far along in this process and not realize, which is, how this sort of how problems start. But I think as long as your partner's paying close attention to you, um, it's fine. Obviously, both people shouldn't be doing this at the same time because it is easy to get carried away. Definitely.
Right. And is it one of those things too, where it's like when you first started, you're a little bit like, I don't want to go too far. I don't want to go too far. And then
Yeah.
the next thing you know, it's like, oh, I want to go for another 30 seconds. I want to go longer. I want to see how long I could go. And then that's where
Yeah.
the issues start, but that's where it also gets really good.
Yes, I think so. And we actually we do incorporate in play something. I'm not sure if this is, well, it is fine and legal in the UK, and I know it's not in other countries, but we actually incorporate poppers into play as well. I'm not sure if is that legal in America?
I've heard of it, and I
Hmm.
know it's something that's used in the gay community more often, I think. But
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what it's
think it's
associated
legal.
with.
I wouldn't know if it's legal or not, but I don't even know what it's supposed to do. I think it relaxes you.
It does. Yeah, actually, it's such a significant part of my play that I might as well talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's legal here. You can get poppers. They're often sold under the word aromas.
What
It's
is
a
a
little.
popper?
What it looks like is a liquid in a little bottle with a screw cap, like a medicine bottle, and you don't consume it in any other way than inhaling the fumes. That's all you do. You don't drink it. It's very dangerous. It's an instant high, basically. You just inhale it briefly, and the high lasts for maybe 30 seconds, something like that. It relaxes you, it lowers your blood pressure. Um, it gives you a little bit of an altered state of consciousness, but not in a hallucinogenic sort of way, more in a kind of just feeling a bit dizzy. It makes sex very intense.
But only for 30 seconds?
Well, that's the thing. So I was talking about these gas mask attachments, and one of the attachments that we've got is this pump, and you put some poppers liquid in the canister on this pump, and it's like a little air pump that you squeeze with your hand, and you squeeze that a few times, and it releases poppers up the tube into the gas mask, and you can just keep doing that as much as you want. And it's a very good way of controlling the amount, because if you do have too much, you can actually get a pretty bad headache.
Is it
But
safe for your brain?
yeah, I mean, it's you shouldn't overuse it. I have heard that you can actually get some eye damage if you use it too much. It's considered safe enough to be legal in the UK. I'm pretty comfortable with it. You've got to be careful not to get it on your skin, but I have had it on my skin and I've washed it off and I've been fine. Um, I've also overdosed on it accidentally, because one time my aromas pump that I've just described actually broke, and I got a big rush of these poppers fumes. And basically, what happened is that I was too dizzy to get up, and I lay on the bathroom floor for about 15 minutes. I was fine after that, but yeah, if you overuse it, you get basically your blood pressure lowers enough that you start getting blue lips and a bit dizzy, that sort of thing.
Oh God, was your husband with you?
Yes,
Was he
yes, he
freaking
was.
out?
No, no, no. He's just like, oh, just lie on the floor. It's fine.
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, we're both familiar with the effects.
Okay. Do you feel like it's hard to have sex without these things?
No, yeah, sometimes my husband and I have completely normal sex, just to feel close to each other. And sometimes I just put on a latex collar or something like that. And I still want that. I still want that kind of interaction, just that intimacy. And it is a lot of effort getting into all of the gear, and sometimes we just can't be bothered.
But are your
So
orgasms like way less exciting when you have just regular sex and it's more about the emotional connection to keep that? Or
I think I'm still capable of having a a good time even without all of the stuff involved, but it's different. It's a different type of orgasm. It's very pleasant, but it's not crazy kinky. It is a different feeling.
right. Like a regular orgasm on a scale of 1 to 10 would now be like a 7, and your
Yeah.
latex orgasms would be like a 12.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Huh,
that's a
okay.
good way to put it. And I would usually say that if it's just sort of no latex involved and just for the emotional connection, I'm happy with one orgasm. That's fine.
Yeah, it's better than none.
Yeah.
So you had told me about this phrase that you called heavy, weird rubber stuff.
Yes. Well, so I've described quite a bit of that now at this
Okay.
point, I would say. With the rebreather bags and so on. And when I say heavy rubber, I mean I sometimes put on one catsuit and then put another one over the top, and getting entirely too hot and bothered, that's another element of that, I suppose. Looking less human is part of that. A word that gets used a lot in the latex world is rubber drone, and you do get this sort of becoming a rubber object or rubber alien kind of effect with all of this kit that you're putting on.
Do you still feel like regular Emily, or when you put it on, do you feel like rubber Emily? Is there a difference in how you
Yeah,
feel?
I think it's a different person.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, I'm not, as I said, I'm a switch. I'm either dom or sub at any given time. I can be both, but some people who are really submissive, they really enjoy feeling like they're not even a person. I think they feel like they're just an object at that moment.
And the rubber can give them that sensation of just like being like faceless almost, or
Yeah. Yeah.
and then it can also empower people because it gives them this like sexy, powerful strength also. So it can kind of
Yeah,
go
I think
either way.
so. Yeah. I mean, some gear that you can get in rubber is dehumanizing. I've talked about my ball hood, but you can actually get like a ball body. You can look like you can get an almost a sleep sack basically, or a sleeping bag that inflates. It's like a sarcophagus kind of look. And I didn't understand that at first. I thought, well, why you look like a great big grub lying there, a great big latex grub. But now I get it, because it feels good when you're in it. And people really like that sort of being objectified, to be honest,
So
in a
that
very
one
literal
doesn't get
sense.
tight. It's more like a bubble.
It's got a tight layer on the inside that presses in on you,
Okay.
so it still feels like pressure. My husband actually has an inflatable suit. It looks absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's trousers and a top. It looks so silly, and I laugh at him every time he puts it on. But I mean, it feels good, and it's got that pressure, um, and people can push you around, and you can't feel much through it. But I guess the inflatable pressure against your skin feels nice.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely surprised that I ended up with a latex fetish, because I can remember being traumatized by my swimming lessons at school and putting on this white latex cap and just looking, I felt like an egg.
Yeah. I never really thought about those when I thought about like latex community.
No, I don't think anyone wants to associate those two things.
And so you talked about OnlyFans.
Oh, yeah. This is quite a recent development for me. I know there's a bit of a bandwagon at the moment, and especially during COVID lockdown, a lot of bored people have decided, oh, I'll see what I can earn on OnlyFans. I'm going to post my nudes on the internet. Uh,
And so how
uh,
does that work? People post on their Instagram like, oh, you can get more pics or videos of me if you go to OnlyFans and you pay
yeah,
me.
yeah, basically. And for me, I've only been doing it for maybe a month and a half, and it's really going very well. I think there's not a lot of this specific heavy rubber content out there that is being offered, and I'm offering it, but it's really fun for me because I do it anyway. I was really surprised. It's taken me by surprise how much traction this got for me so quickly. So now it's part of my income now. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it's been only a month and a half and it's like a
Yeah,
substantial amount for you.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Do you
So yeah, I
feel
just
like since it has gotten so big so quickly that there's like you said there's not enough content out there, but do you think that you're kind of far along like in the leather community about what you can experience and offer that's a little bit more than other people, or do you think you still have a lot to learn and try?
I think I've still got, there's a lot of stuff I want to try. Some of the really heavy kits that, it's actually very expensive. It's a very expensive fetish, and there's a lot of workmanship in making these things. And I do a bit of it myself. I'm a pattern cutter and fashion designer, and I've started to make a few things myself. There's always a new sensation to try. There's always a different bit of kit to try. So yeah, I'm still definitely experimenting, but at the same time, I do think I'm offering something a little bit different, because frankly, I think it's mostly guys who are really into the heavy extreme stuff and the breath play, and I think a lot of girls are sort of more comfortable in just a dress or, you know, a little lingerie set or something like that, and people want to see the total enclosure stuff.
Yeah. Do you just do pictures or you actually do like chats and videos for people?
I do videos, yeah, and I'm happy to talk rubber to anyone on there. But yeah, I do videos, which felt really strange at first, but then I thought, oh, live a little.
Yeah.
Actually, I think a big part of it was after going to Berlin Fetish Ball last year, which sadly was cancelled this year because of the lockdown. Um, my husband and I started to have some experiences involving other people, you know, playing with other people, you know, as a couple. And it really opened our eyes and just made us a lot more open-minded. That's definitely something we would like to explore further as well. But it just kind of made me loosen up a bit. And I guess that's why I'm comfortable doing this stuff now.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you are pretty open and loosened up, but I guess when it comes to adding people into the relationship, that can be scary, especially as in that, like, you know, kind of took your family through a ride.
Yeah, definitely. It is something that's in the back of my mind. And right now I'm not really interested in having, you know, an involvement with someone separately than my husband. You know, we've had a few times now. We had a um I'd really love a repeat of this. We were seeing some friends and we were playing Cards Against Humanity, and it just kind of devolved into this sort of mild orgy sort of situation. I'm not really sure how that happened, but it was
Yeah,
pretty
Cards Against
great.
Humanity. Well, usually people are drinking when they're playing Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, there might have been some drink involved, and there was definitely a lot of latex involved.
How do you think people that are interested in experiencing some of the sensation, what do you recommend people kind of start with?
So I would say that going and browsing different designers. So Libidex in the UK is a really great latex designer that's fairly affordable and offers a, you know, a good range of basics. And like I said, when I started, I tried a cat suit, but just starting with a pair of pants is fine. Actually, we get a lot of latex secondhand on eBay, and as long as you know your sizing, you can get some pretty good deals.
What about maybe like a latex? Do they have like latex bras that would kind of be a
Yeah,
sexy way for people to start because you can feel the sensation?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, actually a bra is probably quite an easy thing to fit because, you know, a lot of latex is cut smaller than body measurements, and getting used to that is, you know, and putting the lube on, that can be a little bit challenging. But in my experience, the bras tend to be a little bit more predictable in the sizing. So yeah, that's a good way to start. Or, you know, a pair of latex gloves, you know, not kitchen gloves. I mean,
Right.
proper ones from a latex designer. They're molded, and that can be quite nice because you can definitely experience the sensation there, and, you know, feel what it's like to touch yourself with latex gloves on. So that's probably a pretty good way to start as well.
This has been amazing.
All my rambling.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I barely have to ask you questions and everything is freaking cool to hear about. Um,
Good.
I like to ask about bucket list sexual scenarios. But can you tell me something that you haven't done yet that you're looking forward to trying or hope you get someday?
Um, I'm still interested, as you've just said, and predicted. I definitely would like to explore more with other couples. Actually, my husband and I were quite interested in going to see a dominatrix together and trying some of the, because, you know, there are some who have got these dedicated playrooms and lots of kit and things that we wouldn't necessarily be able to afford to buy or store in our own home. So going to experience them in a dungeon situation will be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, that would be like a really hot date to do together.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. There's one particular mistress in London, and I know that I mean, she must have spent so much money on it because she's got all of these different sizes of things for, you know, all different clients. She's well kitted out. So
Yeah.
going to see someone like her would be very interesting.
Thank you so much. This has been so much cool information that I had no idea that was even things to learn about.
Yeah, I still feel like I've probably only scratched the surface, or maybe I think when you're trying to describe this stuff and you're trying to describe it in one sentence, it can come across as being very intense or very strange. And I think it's just important to bear in mind that you can get into this kind of thing by degrees, and it can be as slow as you want. And I just loved it, so I went all the way there, you know.
Well, I think it sounds cool. Like it makes me interested in like trying just to put something on and see what it feels like.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then wonder what it's like to be, touched in something. I think
Uh-huh.
that's really cool to stuff. I never even thought about it, honestly. So now I have it in my head.
Well, it's I think it's a point of pride in the latex community to corrupt other people to the latex ways.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much. And I wish you a lot of luck in your future play and your new experiences. And sounds like you have a beautiful relationship, and I'm happy for you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about this as well.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Okay. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. And now you know why I used that episode to kick off season 2. Because she's a fucking badass. Thank you, Rupert Emily, for sharing us with your vulnerability and with your openness and your education, and for getting to explore with yourself and wanting to share that exploration with us. And since I filmed this episode, I did order me a latex bra because I really wanted it, and it will be in the mail soon. And it is getting to the US from the UK. I'm supporting you, leather designers in the UK. Thank you so much. Y'all are all super cool. I'd like to take just a moment to remind us that we are very lucky to get to be in a place and in a time that we get to have sex with who and how we want, and not everyone is afforded that right. 10% of any profits that come into Interesting Sex Podcast will go to helps to stop sex and human trafficking. There's nothing worse than a child being sex trafficked. If you want to donate to the podcast to help us keep going, as well as to give to the cause, please go to interestingsexpodcast.com. And if you think you have interesting sex and you'd like to share it with us, maybe be on the show, you can go to the website, or you can email me at interestingsexpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to the band 41 for this super weird and awesome song. I love it. 41music.net. Can't wait to see you next Tuesday to find out what the pussy dragged in.